Welcome to the Professional Troublemaker podcast. This is the place where we help you cultivate the courage, authenticity, and audacity you need to use your voice, take up space, and live a life that is so bold, even your wildest dreams say goals. I'm your host, Luvvie Ajayi Jones, New York Times bestselling author, sought-after speaker, and side-eye sorceress, bringing you thought-provoking conversations with amazing people who have taken action and have consistently showed up with the courage and confidence they needed to become the fear fighters they are today. Like the late, great John Lewis said, these are the kind of people who are never, ever afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. Before we jump into today's interview, know that this podcast is named after my second book, Professional Troublemaker, The Fear Fighter Manual, which hits bookstore shelves on March 2nd, 2021. How would our lives be different if we were given permission to be disruptors for the greater good? How far would we have gone if we already knew that our jobs aren't to shy away from big things, but to run towards them? How dope would our legacy be if we knew that fear is natural and we're actually supposed to do the things that scare us? How audacious would we be if imposter syndrome wasn't holding on to our ankles? In my new book, I talk about all these things and how my life has transformed as a result of being the person who committed to doing the things that feel bigger than me, doing the things that feel scary as shit, and things that make me lose my breath. This book is dedicated to my late grandmother, Fumilayo Faloyin, who was the professional troublemaker I looked up to when I was growing up. You know what you can say to an elderly Nigerian stateswoman who has been through the darkness of life and conquered all the mountains placed in her way? Not a damn thing. That spirit, those lessons, and that fortitude is the energy that I brought to this book. So you know it's anointed. The Fear Fighter Manual is game-changing, and I know it. So if you value this show, if you value the guests and their stories, the lessons, the wisdom, and inspiration I bring to you, if you've ever listened to something I said and wrote it down, you will love Professional Troublemaker, The Fear Fighter Manual. If you want to commit to fighting fear, imposter syndrome, and constantly finding courage in this scary world, this book is for you. So, I need your help. I need you to help make this book a rousing success. I need you like I needed you for my first book, I'm Judging You, The Do Better Manual. Y'all helped me change my life by supporting it and making it a New York Times bestseller. And I need your help to do that again. Because this book is needed, and I think it will leave a mark on you. I know it, actually. We need to become professional troublemakers, and this manual that I wrote, this book that I wrote, will help you make it happen. So be sure to pre-order Professional Troublemaker today, wherever books are sold, or go to professionaltroublemakerbook.com. You can get the hardcover, the paperback, or audiobook, which I narrated. So the URL is professionaltroublemakerbook.com. I'm so excited for you to read it. My guest today on Professional Troublemaker is the brilliant and hilarious Nicole Walters. Nicole is the founder and CEO of a multi-million-dollar personal development and business education empire. After quitting her corporate job on livestream in front of 10,000 people, Nicole uses all the skills and knowledge she learned in the corporate world and specializes in business development training and strategic coaching for emerging entrepreneurs and established business owners. She works with everyone from stay-at-home parents to small business owners, and her transformative resources help everyday entrepreneurs build a legacy they will be proud of. I knew I was gonna love this conversation because I love me some Nicole. That is my homie. But listen, you're gonna completely fall out with the gems this woman is blessing us with in this episode. Effortless gems dropping all around. You see her out here running her business and on her new show on USA Networks called She's the Boss. But in this episode, she shared some amazing stories I'd never heard from her before. How she's been this professional, gifted entrepreneur from the time she was small, how she strategically mapped out her corporate career before quitting her job to step into her real purpose as the CEO and founder of Inherent Learning Company. And I cannot wait for you to hear the story she dropped on me about her experience during Share the Mic Now. It's just too good. So let's get into this. Nicole Walters, welcome to Professional Troublemaker.
Thank you for having me, Luvvie. I'm very excited to be here.
Y'all, I just want to let you know that Nicole showed up for this interview looking like God's anointing, okay? Looking like Just a stone cold fox. In fact, she's putting me to shame right now, just so you people know.
Hey, it's just I do what I can, Luvvie. I exfoliated, I did my eyebrows, pandemic, no pandemic. Do what is the Lord's will.
You see foolishness.
Right out the gate.
Out the gate. We can't help ourselves. We cannot help ourselves. So, Madame, so tell me, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
Oh my goodness. I only had 2 choices. My parents are Ghanaian, or even 3. Doctor, lawyer, or engineer. These were my
course.
And if I talk to them today from Ghana, they're like, there's still time, you can have more children even. You are still young. Medical school is 4 years and you can do this one still. Oh, really, Mom? Like, really? So, yeah.
That tracks. Honestly, that tracks. This is a podcast full of failed doctors. I'm just letting you know right now. I have so many guests who have been on this podcast who were like, no, I was supposed to be a doctor. I am glad it didn't work out for us like that.
Me too. Well, what's funny is if you have those type of parents, if you're not around though, ask my mom all over Ghana, small little village living there. My daughter has Oprah, but sometimes she doesn't have time for her. She can't always call her. She can't always be around her, but she's also her. She's also Oprah. I'm like, Mom, that's not really the narrative, but it's whatever. Like that's the reality. That's African parents, they brag on you, but to your face, they're like, one more,
Secret pride. They're only proud of you in secret. You find out by accident that they're proud of you. And you're like, wow, thank you. Thank you for you telling me that they're proud, because I surely ain't hear that.
It's like, that's why we have therapists. Amen.
Amen. Thank God for them.
Thank God
to
for
unpack
therapy.
all of this. So what was little Nicole like? 5-year-old, 6-year-old Nicole, what were you like?
Oh my gosh, probably just as annoying, precocious. I was the one who was on the playground saying, guys, let's form the trash bag brigade. All right. So everyone bring trash bags from home and we're going to take care of the planet. We're going to help out. But of course I wasn't picking up the trash. I was delegating, always the leader, but I got it coordinated. So that was me when I was little. And I like to get paid ever since I was little. I love a coin.
How?
Oh my gosh. In every turn, I was always trying to negotiate. So I was like, oh, I'd love to do that, but I could also do this. If you wanted to throw down a little bit of cash, that was me, always negotiating. Absolutely. Even when I would go to the market for my parents, where they'd be like, here's some money, go to the market. I'd come back with their change. I'd show them their change. And I would say, I'll take this as a down payment. I'll give you this, but let me keep the coins, little by little. Always. I was always looking for a way to make a coin. Always.
I'm trying to tell you, when people are like, how do you find your purpose? I'm always like, it's typically something you were doing when you were young that somebody like beat out of you or abused out of you or insulted out of you. If you paid attention to who you were at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there's clues in there for what you should be doing right now.
Yes, the foundations are there. Yes, the past leaves clues for the present.
That tracks. So when you were in high school, around that time, what did you want to be at that point? Were you still a doctor?
So I had a sort of awakening. I thought I wanted to get into broadcast journalism because I really like telling stories. I really like connecting with people authentically. And I had a passion for professionalism, so I really liked, doing things in a formal way. So I thought that's what I'd do. But then my dad was like, too competitive, It's too competitive. What makes you think you are going to go do this one, Simple job, surgeon. I'm like, oh, because that's a simple job. That's the shift though, sir. So I was like, no, I'll just go, I'll fast track. Maybe I can get into politics. Maybe I'll be a lawyer. That's the direction I thought I would go in. And, but I ended up in corporate America, doing the financial thing, corner office, and it worked for me, but it wasn't as much interaction as I would have liked. I was that annoying coworker.
Yeah. So wait, where'd you go to college?
I went to Johns Hopkins University.
And then what was your major?
Political science. I thought I was, because it's right outside of DC and Baltimore. So I really thought that I was going to end up, in DC doing the lobbyist thing, the political thing, like law school. That's really what I thought would happen. But it really was not, I was just not tracking for law school. It just wasn't aligned with who I'm too nice. You know what I mean? Like I'm very, I'm serious about my business, but I'm friendly. I like to hang out. I like to laugh. I like to tell jokes. And like I said, I was an annoying coworker in the cube who was always trying to chat your ear off. So, yep. But it was good. Corporate was good to me. It made sense. I went financial. I went healthcare. I was C-suite. It made sense.
So when you graduated, you got straight into work.
Oh, well, I worked all through college because my parents just didn't have it. So nobody was going to be able to fund, people don't tell you that even if you get a full ride, there's so much more that you have to pay for, so books are $400 a semester plus, and
Yep.
there's housing, especially if you go to a school in a major city, you've got to pay for that housing, near campus, which is usually at a premium, so there are just so many things. And I worked the entire time, which actually allowed me to fast track the corporate path because I already came when my friends are graduating with $100K in debt, I was graduating with 3 years of experience.
Yeah, come on, strong resume. See, you had your stuff together way more than most people in college. Because in college, we was just out here just acting a fool, and you are over here building a career. Okay.
Well, not deliberately, not because I wanted to, but because my parents were like, you are our 401k. All right, sis, you are the 401k plan. So play around if you want to, but do it on somebody else's retirement, not mine.
So wait, were you the oldest sibling?
Can't you tell? I'm the oldest
tell. That's all
by 7 years. So my sister is 7 years younger than me. So, aside from taking care of my parents, I also was taking care of my sister. So, I mean, I was really spread thin, in my responsibilities. But that's therapy for you.
That's what I thought. I was like, you sound like an older sibling who's taking care of a lot of people because you came out the gate with like, I got to do this.
Check mark. But I'm okay with it though. Like it actually worked out because this is the role that I get to play in other people's lives. I'm the auntie, I'm your business auntie. I'm coming in there saying, listen, you may not like to hear it, but this is the truth. I'm going to cause some trouble in your fields, but you're going to make sure those coins in that bank account lines up.
Come on, professional troublemaker. Come on.
Yes.
Okay, so I see what you did there. Okay, I see what you did there. All right, so you got into corporate. So you graduate, you get this nice job for somebody who's just graduating from college. What is your position?
So I start out and I'm working as an associate, which basically means you support the people who are doing all the fancy things. And I'm working in mortgage-backed securities for a major banking institution. So it's basically like all you're doing is whenever a defaulted loan comes in on a house or whatever else, your job is to do the research, look at the docs, figure out whose fault is it that this loan defaulted? Is it the bank's fault? Is it the person's fault? And catch this, it was at the time of the recession. So I went in from reviewing like 8 loans a day. And I went in, that was on a Friday, went in on a Monday, there were 800 loans. It was like, so, and this was before anybody was talking about recession. So
and what year was this?
This was in 2007. So I go in there and I'm like, this don't seem right. Like what's going, like, I didn't even know what all the boxes were. I was like, this couldn't possibly be. And I'm looking in, it's all these defaulted loans. And one of the major banks was like on the brink of filing for bankruptcy. So like, that's why we'd gotten this huge influx. And so I'm like, what is going on here? And no joke, on that day, I was like, oh, no. Like, I can't be in finance. I'm going to need to figure out what I'm going to do to run my own business, because the American dream is not this 2.5 kids, this corner office, this business card, like none of this. It's making sure that I can control and have options around my finances and my life. So it was from that moment on that I said, look, this is just going to be a training ground for my entrepreneurial future.
Oh, that is wild. You was like, oh no.
No. I was like, this right here, this is not it. This is not it. I'm not going to be in this office, because also the other side of it is once all those loans were gone, they're going to hire up to offset, right? Because they needed help. But once those are gone, then what are you doing? You're cutting back. So right afterwards, there's going to be, so I was like, no, I'm not doing this back and forth. I like a regular check. And if I can control my own money, I know where it's coming from.
No. So then where did you go next?
So after that, I realized I don't want to stay in the securities financial world. I'm going to go ahead and jump ship and go to healthcare, because healthcare is more stable. But my information around business development, around the structure of finances is all going to be beneficial as long as I'm doing corporate healthcare. So I started working at an international corporate healthcare firm. So what we did was we provided health insurance for major international corporations. So if PepsiCo wanted to send 100 employees to Dubai to open a new office, I had to make sure that they had the right health insurance, to make sure that it aligned, and if the package didn't exist, create it, like all the different pieces, and make sure the number aligned.
Lord, you were getting the master class.
Oh yeah.
In all things business, because all this stuff, I'm like, Damn.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. But what was great about it was they trusted me. You know what I mean? Which I look back on it and I would not have hired a 23-year-old to be in charge of, multi-million-dollar accounts and all. Like, please, are you kidding me? I'm not flying a, 20-something-year-old to go sit into a meeting with like a PepsiCo or a Microsoft. But I guess I looked professional. I look good in a suit. Those eyebrows, they stayed trustworthy, I guess.
The eyebrows did it. And the cheekbones.
And the cheekbones, they just saw that. So, it aligned and it worked out. And I did that for a couple of years. And I was poached by another company that wanted me to do the same thing within theirs. They didn't have an international division. It was the number one healthcare company in the US. And they were like, Nicole, help us build one. So we scaled from 2 million to 200 million. And we did that over the span of like 3-4 years. Yeah, it was crazy. And then my boss was like, I went to my boss, I was like, this is great. I'm hype. You know that young 25-year-old enthusiasm where I'm like, what next? I'm going to scale. I'm going to be everything. And my boss like, oh yeah, no. I mean, everyone else around here is like, I don't know, 53. So you're pretty much just going to do what you're doing for the next couple of years. And then, we'll see what happens next. I mean, keep making us money. Thanks. I was like, what? Oh, no. And that was when I started getting serious about the exit strategy. Very serious.
So what did you do first in terms of planning this exit?
Mm-hmm. So I'd been sharing my story online. So I've always been, because I'm, of that millennial age, which doesn't mean anything now. Now, like you always say, I'm young old, there's Gen Zs now. So, I was on social and I had just gone natural and I'd started tracking that journey online, but I was doing that organically for me, just kind of, is my hair growing or not? Are my edges more or less robust? Like these are the things I needed to know. Important things on the side, right? And so in tracking that journey, I was building up an audience and people were enjoying watching it because it was fun, but I was also making money because again, no free. So like, brands were wanting to work with me because they recognized my corporate professionalism. They knew that I knew how to pitch. They knew that when we were done with an activation or any type of marketing, I would send them reporting. They knew that I understood insights and analytics and long before anyone was teaching this stuff online. So I was making like 35K on the side while working in corporate, just running my little blog with like next to no followers. Yeah. So like that was like the light bulb moment because all my blogger friends were like, I'm not making that type of money. How are you even getting this? Like, who are you? Like, I have 100,000 followers. Like, how'd you get this? And I'm like, oh, I pitched myself, girl. Like that's like I went corporate, and then one thing led to the next and I launched my business education firm.
So you quit your job in a very high profile way.
Yeah.
I want us to walk us through that story of how you quit your job on a grand stage.
Yeah. So, I mean, the original intention, I have to say this for every African auntie that may be listening, the original intention was just to call quietly and then follow up and be like, hey guys, so I quit my job, but what happened was I went on the internet to say, okay, guys, today's the day I'm quitting. You've been tracking me sort of building my journey. I have money in the bank. Like, I think I'm ready to jump ship. And everyone was like, stop playing. You're not going to show us all this stuff and drop us off now. Keep us on the line, call, and we want to hear how it goes. So I text the husband, right? My husband's an attorney. I text him and I'm like, hey, so I need you to look up real quick if this is even legal. Like, just because realistically, you can't always record both sides of conversations, like all of that. And so he was like, yeah, it's fine. You just can't do it on speaker. Like, you can only record, because my boss at the time was in Chicago, and I was Illinois in Maryland. Laws. Right, exactly. So he was like, based on the laws, you can do it. You just can't hear his side of the conversation. So I got on the phone and you can hear the muffled sort of, but you can't hear the words. And I quit my job. And I had to, because the next day I was headed to Tennessee to do an event for a brand that had booked me as part of my hair blog. And I had a full docket of clients. So like that next day I made something like $8,000. So I was like, I have to quit. Like, I don't have a choice. Like, I have to quit my job. So that was it. I quit my job.
So what did you even say?
In that moment, I got to send you this video, Luvvie. In this moment, please do. All I could think to myself, so my heart's racing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm racing, and not because I felt like I couldn't do it, but because I was worried he was going to say something left. Like, well, thank God, get your stuff. I did not know. And I'm like, and I got these people on here, and I'm like, oh man, I'd love to like not have them on here. But I said I would. So I felt like I was in a bind, but it worked out. You know what I mean? I said to him, this job just really isn't feeding my soul. And I have this opportunity to do something that's making me money. And I love it. You know, like it's making me money and it gives me joy. I'm helping people pay school fees and I'm helping people pay for summer camp and put down payments on homes. Like this is really, and the way I'm doing it is in integrity, you know, like it feels right. So like my boss, like I was good until he said this to me. He said, if you love what you're doing and you're making money doing it, then why are you wasting time doing anything else?
Ooh.
From my boss. And I was just like, you know, I was like, okay. I was like, and then a little later in the conversation, he was like, you know, sometimes I wish I had the guts to do what you're doing, you know? And this is after this guy's like got, you know, 25, 30 years of experience on me. And I was like, I'm not going to wait 30 years to find out that this makes sense. I'm out of here. So I quit.
I love that because holy smokes, it could have gone left. But the reason why it didn't go left is because you'd already proven you were valuable, that you do amazing work. So he had no reason to be upset at you. If you were a trash employee.
Oh, right. It would have been a different story. No, his big concern was, am I going to a competitor? Because they knew how, you know, how they always say, if your man cheated in order to get you, you might be worried about cheating. They were concerned. They were like, we know how we got you. So we want to make sure that's not how we lose you. So when I told him, no, I'm not going to a competitor, they were like, oh, okay, well then what are you doing? Tell me about it. You know, and he was really supportive and I'm grateful to this day because I needed that. So it was really helpful.
And that is how you started Inherit Learning Company.
Yes, Inherit Learning Company. So we're now a multi-million-dollar company headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. We have 20 employees with full benefits, full healthcare, 401k, all that good stuff. We are fully debt-free, women-owned, minority-owned business, and we're thriving, helping more people every single day. It's unbelievable. Like sometimes I look around and I'm like, I can't believe this is my life. It's crazy.
How many years has it been?
It's been 6 years now, but I always like to say that 6 years seems quick in the digital world, but I came into it with over a decade of experience. So the truth is, it looks like a microwave minute, but it's crockpot success, you know, so it's 16 years, you know.
It looks like a microwave minute. But it is crockpot success. Come on and drop these gems on the people.
Truth. It's the truth.
Yes.
It's not rice cooker jollof. Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody's
it's
here
on the
for
pot
that.
with the foil. Slow cook.
The patty jollof with the smoky bottoms.
Yes, proper.
Yes. And you have managed to do it. First of all, the field is officially ridiculously saturated.
Saturated.
I must have a petty moment. I'm tired of people teaching things they have not done.
They don't know.
Purely because there's money in it. I'm seeing people teaching how you become a millionaire when you're not a millionaire yet. I see people teaching how to write a book when you don't have a best-selling book.
Not one. Not
just
one.
not now one.
And it's tough. I think that, you know, just in keeping with all that you've got going on, the way you've always inspired me is you say to make trouble. And when I first came in, and make good trouble at that, you know, and that's what makes me so excited about your book coming out, Professional Troublemaker, because it really is an example and a guideline. You know, I've been blessed, you know, thankfully you let me read an early copy of it. And it really has inspired me because in the beginning, when I tell you, Luvvie, people were uncomfortable with my troublemaking status. And somewhere inside me, and you talk about this in the book, listening to that self that knows to be courageous, you know, I always knew that good trouble made sense because it was in alignment with what I needed to do. So not only was I, you know, like you say, being a fear fighter, you know, fighting that fear within, but it actually is the reason I have, like everything in your book, you know, that you talk about is the reason why I have the business now, because I wasn't afraid of being a troublemaker in a saturated space where people already said, do it like this, you know, instead I was like, no, like, what you're doing is wrong. And I know that may be uncomfortable to hear someone say, but it's not right. You know, there's an actual way to do it. You do need to pay attention to your taxes and they do matter. You do need to have contracts and they do matter. You aren't a lawyer. Don't speak on that stuff, you know, and that was something that people weren't doing in this space. It was all marketing and flash. And I'm glad to know that I caused good trouble because it challenged people to step it up and be better.
And you do, like you are constantly showing like, all right, it ain't just a fun and games.
No.
You need structure. You need, a lot of people think, especially creative people think that all you have to do is have the gift and the talent. No, No, your gift is like 20 or 30% of the whole thing. And the rest is business structures and know-how that a lot of people do not have.
People forget that if Beyonce didn't have a team, she'd only sing in the shower. Okay, there's someone who gets her where she needs to go every single day. And don't minimize the power of a team. You know, I always tell people that sometimes they're like, well, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you're an intrapreneur. Maybe your skill set is to lend your talents towards somebody who is suited, you know, for that platform, but recognize that you are essential. Beyonce all day knows that she would never make it to stage without somebody to glue that lace front on right. Okay, that person is doing the work of the Lord, you know? So it's like, these are real things. There's somebody out there who's powdering and greasing those legs so that they can shine like the top of the Chrysler building. Like, God bless that soul. You know what I mean? These are real talents.
The leg moisturizer
is
undefeated.
Amen. And, you know, so everybody has an essential role. And it just, once you figure out what that looks like, it's your job to seek out the people around you to support you operating in your area of excellence.
Zone of genius.
Zone of genius.
I was talking to somebody who was like, a lot of people have a zone of competence. And they tend to live in the zone of competence. Just because you can do it does not mean you should do it.
Absolutely.
And then there's a lot of people who do zone of excellence. You're really great at it, actually. But then there's your zone of genius, which is where you're supposed to live in.
The whole time.
The problem is that creatives end up living in zones of incompetence too.
That is the truth.
You're doing the shit that's not even in your realm. Like it's not even in your lane. Don't even touch it.
Yes. And shifting back and forth, like, oh, this isn't working. I need to do something different. And it's like, no. Like, you got to understand that sometimes you have to stick with it. I mean, Luvvie, I'm telling you, when I've been watching your journey with this next book and seeing you pour your heart out into it, I've been so blown away because it's a consistent, and we know you're a creative because you have many businesses. People don't know, you know, they may have just found you at the podcast or just found you at Share the Mic Now, but you've been old to this, you know, you've been doing this for a while and you've gone through many iterations before Professional Troublemaker. And the thing that stands out for me in watching you that really aligns with my corporate background is consistency, even when it's hard. I mean, the tears in writing this book, the days where you're like, my creative mind says, go launch a shoe line today. You know what I mean? My creative mind says, someone complimented me on my hair color. I need a hair color collection. You know, like this is what I should be doing right now. You know, and you're saying to yourself, no. My creative mind says whatever it wants to say, but my good mind says, sit down and write this book because God has called me to do it. And we're all grateful to you for getting it done because there's a lesson in that alone.
No, that's it. And actually, like, there was a point, Nicole had to gather me in August to be like, Luvvie, focus. Why are you doing this? That don't make any sense for you. And I was like, cancel it all. Yup, that makes sense. And for me, that was such a great moment to be like, okay, that's a distraction that I thought I should be doing.
Right.
That's a distraction away from the
I look
core
at now, and I'm so glad that you didn't branch off into new ventures because you never know what God has for you around the corner, you know? And so if you are operating in your zone of genius, like you say, you know, odds are the world's going to rise to meet you. There are opportunities unseen, and you just want to be your best self when they arrive. And Luvvie, I mean, you got Beyonce sending you packages. Like, I mean, you don't have the time right now. I need to see you, your full African self, standing in the winter, enrobed in Beyonce. Okay, this is not just, it's inspirational, okay? So these are real things. And if you've been spending your time doing anything else, like, I mean, really, you would have missed out. So this is good. It's good for all of us.
I'm already stretched. And Nicole would text me and be like, I need to see a world where Luvvie's successful because I need my girls to see Luvvie being a success. And I'd be like, oh my God.
Yes, we have to grow up in a world like that because my girls need to see that the Luvvies are successful, that the Myleeks are successful. Like, I want them to see that it's not just the Susans and the Rebeccas and the, you know, the Jordans. And, you know, I want them to see that it's women who look like them, you know, who sound like them, who've decided to be consistent and challenge themselves to be something more. You know, that is the world that we're in. So even if we're not all operating in the exact same area, or even if we may not all have the exact same life and style and do everything exactly the same way, ultimately, my kids need to see that variety because that's truly where they're going to find where they fit in, you know, where they can make some, you know, good trouble.
Imagine being in an online space where people's foolishness doesn't make you want to fight the air. That might sound impossible with your current choices for social media, but I was sick of wading through nonsense to find like-minded people. So I created my online community. And if you're the kind of person who is striving to be a professional troublemaker and fight fear, we need you to join us in that community because you need people to cheer you on. Love Nation is my online community and app that is a safe space in a dumpster fire world. It's the place for the most thoughtful, funny, most chill deficient people on these interwebs. We're a community that comes together to make each other better with curated conversations, opportunities to connect, and challenges to help us transform and do better in every area of our lives. So, I want you to come in there, join us, become a citizen of Love Nation. So go to lovenation.com, LUVVNATION. Download the app in the App Store or on your Android. It's on iOS and Android. And come on through. All right, back to the podcast. Let's talk about the children. Nicole has a family
dynamic
that includes 3 girls who she adopted. We'll get into that. And one Manny who is everything to me.
Come and collect him. You can have him. Come and collect him.
Yo, besides the fact that Nicole is this freaking business boss, she's just such a dynamic person. And just, I be living my best life watching. Y'all have probably seen a Nicole Walters video that has gone viral at some point. Nicole is like a shapeshifter, right? So now let's talk about these 3 adopted daughters and how they shifted your life in the last, 5-6 years?
Yeah, 5-6 years. So it's crazy because, there's sort of the very robust track of building a business, right? That's plenty to talk about. But simultaneously, I think like most Black women, we want it all and we're going to go for it all. We're not going to sacrifice our personal life, in order to chase the business. We want to feel like we're well-rounded, So for me, I was married for 7 years and we were, putting off having kids for a while because, people check for your uterus and you'd be like, hey, look, just because I got married doesn't mean I'm popping them out right away. I got things, Right. So we were, having a good time. And on one night after date night, we drove down a street in Baltimore and it was a little late and we saw this woman panhandling with her daughter. And we didn't know what was next outside of just stopping to help in the moment. But we found out that, they were in need and she had 2 more daughters at home. And I just offered mentoring. I had a blog at the time. So I was like, sure, I'll help, I'll mentor, pick up the girls after school, take them out, listen to them, give them another perspective. But it became very clear very quickly that the need was deeper than that. And so we just kept trying to do the next right thing. And then what happened was, a month or so in, their mother told us she would be incarcerated. And we knew that just in getting, and their mother's very much so in our life. So in getting to know the family, it was one of those things where it's a societal thing. It's not, it's from the beginning, the mother was not supported. Do you know what I mean? Her life just took a turn and it was one thing after another. And so unfortunately where she is now, it is what it is, but it doesn't have to be that for the girls, So for us, that was kind of how we stepped in. And one thing led to another. We ended up having full custody. And now we are mom and dad to these 3 incredible, incredible girls.
Who I feel like I've watched grow up.
You have.
The internet.
You have, literally.
Puffin was this tall.
She was 3. She was 3.
Pigtails.
Yes. She was,
and now she could take me out.
She was 3 and now she is 9 talking about some, I don't really wear pink. Black's my favorite color because black goes with everything. And I was like, little girl, I need you to slow down right now. Like I am not ready for this. She's like, yeah, I have a style. So mom, can I talk to your stylist? Because I just feel like he really gets my style. Ma'am, I'm not even kidding. Not even kidding.
Ma'am, you don't have a style. You're 9.
You don't have a style. Your style is unicorn. That's what I call your style. That's it for right now. So yeah, she's grown up and we always joke about all the internet aunties. It takes a village and I've been blessed. Everybody on the internet has watched these girls grow and they've piped in, here and there where appropriate with respect to boundaries, saying like, hey, this is the type of car seat you need, or, this is the type of potty seat holder you need. And what's great is the show is an extension of that. They get to really see what it's like, on top of what's been happening on social media. So it's pretty cool.
The way, y'all, slight work. Nicole is the star of a new show on USA called She's the Boss with her and the rest of the family.
Yes.
And we have this first of all, their names on social media, right, is different. You will find out their real names. You find out on social media if you follow their account, but you'll find out what the Puffin's real name is, the Mitt Tiny's real name is, the Hubbin.
Yes.
And can you talk about Eddie, please? Because
Eddie is some middle of the mall stuff. How many times have you been taken by a spray paint shirt in the middle of the mall? That's basically what happened. I went to the mall and I found an Eddie and I brought him home, and Eddie, sure enough, he thought that I was, a housewife. So he thought he was being hired to be my professional best friend. And I was like, could you imagine, Luvvie, knowing me, thinking that you were hiring someone to go on lunch dates with and knowing how I work? Eddie was shell-shocked. Okay, he came in and he was like, oh, it's a job? So the show is hilarious because you see a lot of that, of Eddie kind of forgetting that this is not just some cool employee, like hanging out relationship, and that there's real work to be done. But he became like family and we love him, and he's crazy and he's lighthearted, and keeping him in line is just one of my many jobs that I do.
And Eddie, when he puts on his turban and his apron, I'm like, who and why, and never stop.
Oh, Luvvie, don't you know that those aprons, and everyone will see on the show, he has this like signature yellow apron he wore. Those aprons were in a bin in my garage, okay? Like they were from an event that I did like many years prior where I had the, people manning my booth wearing these aprons. And Eddie found them one day, and I come out, right? Like from a call or whatever else. I walk in, he's wearing it. He was like, I just feel like I'm more productive with this on, and that's it. And he's worn it ever since. This was Eddie. So it wasn't like a situation where I was like, oh, you have to wear an apron or it's uniform. He just feels more productive when he's wearing ruffles.
When he's wearing ruffles.
That's his child. And also he's 24. Don't let the height fool you. He is a 24-year-old man. So he is young and silly, Morehouse grad, good kid. But
my husband is a Morehouse grad. Morehouse grads are obsessed with each other.
Yes, they are. They're really brothers. Like they really, really are. So, I mean, that's like, it's been interesting to also raise him through that because he came in his sophomore year. So I was like, hey, we got to redirect you. Atlanta's a lot of fun, but Eddie, you got to do that work, so I'm his mom boss is how he calls it.
You are because you be trying to get Eddie together, and you and Eddie be arguing about the most random things.
All the time. God bless him.
And I'm looking forward to watching it on the show because I'm like the pure shenanigans that I know will exist behind the business of it all.
Yes. I mean, it's cool. People do get to see me in the office, kind of balancing the family part of it extends to the office because my husband is the general counsel for my company. So, I'm dealing with him coming to the office. Eddie's like, oh, I'll meet you in the office to go over such and such. And I'm like, don't, I live at home. I'll see you at home. He'll come into the office and be like, I wanted to review all these things. And I'm like, no, I'm with clients, Eddie. So it's just like, you get to see that whole dynamic, and I'm excited. USA Network really did something special by putting a Black woman, in a lead role, during Black History Month and Women's History Month. And I'm excited. Every Thursday, people are going to get to see what it's really like.
Yo, how do you, I know this question is interesting, but it's like, how do you make sure you stay grounded through all of this in balance? Because there's a lot on your plate.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I do, which I scream at you left and right to do for yourself, is a self-care sabbatical, right? So a self-care sabbatical is every 3 months taking 3 to 5 days and being nothing for no one. You are nobody's wife. You are nobody's mentor. You are nobody's coach. You are nobody's mother. You are nobody's anything. All you are is what you are to yourself. And for me, as a Christian, it's also a spiritual time. Like, how am I going to hear from God if I'm always moving and listening to everybody else? So it allows me to stop and just really sit there and give thanks, to even reach that moment, and also get direction for where I need to go next, as well as rest, So these self-care sabbaticals are essential for me. They're harder in a pandemic, but I still make space and I carve out room because it's how I'm my best for everyone else.
That's a key. That is a major key. And I think I might have to institute that as a policy because my God, after all the things you have to get done, after all the talking, because right now you're doing heavy press run. I am too, because the book dropping, you're about to be doing it one of these here days too for other projects. Yes. You're always doing something new. Mm-hmm. That recharge is super real.
Oh yes. And I put it on the calendar top of the year. So Luvvie, listen, I believe that when your New York Times bestseller is announced, because we already know it's been received in Jesus' name, okay? Amen. But when it's announced, I want you to be in a position with a cocktail in your hand somewhere, resting, sunning yourself on somebody's beach, That's what you deserve because you go so hard. And that's what so many of us deserve, especially as Black women, as women in general. We are carrying so much of the load and we don't feel like we're entitled to take that space. So I take that space in advance. Top of the year, January, I'm like, put it on the calendar. Last week of every single quarter, I am not to be found. So it does not get moved. Everything works around that. It's a week that does not exist on the calendar. Don't even book anything. It doesn't exist.
Major keys. I got to do that. Because I'm like, oh my God, I'm tired of people.
It's not too late.
You're building wealth. How are you, and a lot of those of us who are visible, prominent, forever students who are living on social and building our lives and wealth and everything, it looks glamorous. For you, what is the thing that keeps you moving through it? Because we're now in rarefied air.
Am I in rarefied? I still go to Walmart. I'm like, am I in rarefied air? Am I?
Nicole will have on a Walmart t-shirt and some Balenciaga slides because versatility. You hear me?
Because high, low, fabulous.
High, low.
Category is humble. That's me. No, it's true. I've never been one, and I think that's, speaking of more trouble causing, I've never been one to take pictures in my closet surrounded by, bags or things like that. You won't catch me laid out on top of a Lamborghini. You won't catch me with 5 or 6 cars in front of, I live a debt-free life. And not only is my life debt-free, but it's never been on loans and it's never been on cards. And on top of that, my business has 7 figures in working capital. That's money in the bank to pay my business. So I am my own bank, so these are the things that, for me at least, in terms of humility, I'm never subject to trying to impress others or subject to what other people's expectations are. And the Bible talks about this. It talks about not being, in debt, because in debt isn't just to the bank or the people you own, but it's also in debt to society's images and perspectives and certain styles of marketing and all that stuff. So it can be uncomfortable to hear, but the truth is, don't you want to have the freedom to be able to be yourself and feel consistent in that? And that comes with living your life and building your wealth a certain way. So, doing that, it meant that I, drove a car with 90,000 miles on it with $1 million in the bank. I had a car with 90,000 miles on it and some check engine lights, and because it still went. Okay. That Honda started up. Okay. And I was going to drive it and I was okay with it, and it meant, saying, okay, my roof needs done, but what am I going to do first? I made decisions and I still do. And I just want to be part of that narrative, and I know that it's challenges some people because it's uncomfortable and it's not popular, but that's the narrative that I hope I can drive in the future, is that there's humility and pride that comes with knowing that your life is truly secured and it's something you can pass on to future generations.
And how do you make sure you are always operating from the place of abundance, not scarcity?
Oh, wow. I mean, I still feel moments of scarcity. Like I still worry, like where I'll say, if I don't do this, what will happen? Or couldn't I push myself to get one more interview in, or, things like that. It does happen. But part of that is also who I surround myself with. I've got people around me that are constantly examples of more to come. So, I mean, I remember, Luvvie, when your book first came out and, people are still talking about it because it was that great of a book, and not to mention that the people around you, I mean, people celebrated you as if that was the only book you wrote. You know what I mean? Like I've read both. The second one is better. You know what I mean? Like, that the second one is better. And guess what? The third one, the fourth one. And when you hit 70, 80, there's going to be a memoir. Okay. That is going to be a movie, that's going to be Oscar winning. Like we're trying to EGOT out here, the Emmy, the Grammy, the Oscar, the Tony, so knowing this, it's just important to have the right people around you that will always say, look, there's so much more to come. Be excellent where you are and be sure that everything that God has for you, you will receive.
That's a gem. That's a gem. And people don't realize, like, Nicole is one of my village members.
Yes.
Okay.
Stay in the text. Like, come on, you can do this. This is going to be great. How can I help?
Like,
bother me. Bother
she
me,
literally
please.
would tell me to bother her. And you've been one of the people who've like reminded me and inspired me to ask for more. You know, in terms of a lot of us will do this isolated. A lot of what we're going through, we don't have people who we can go to that's like, what's the way to get through this thing?
No,
because
true.
many of us didn't come from really rich parents.
That's right.
We didn't come from parents who had their own companies. So we're like building the life that we want to see as we're going along. So to have people like you next to me, it's so cool to be able to be like, okay, question about this big dollar thing. Does that make sense?
Right.
You know, and being able to have that like real transparent conversation. For you, what role has your village played in your success in your life right now?
Well, I've been really blessed because, you know, I keep a tight circle. So the people in my circle are people who reflect the integrity and values that I have.
Yes.
So you're not going to have me, I wouldn't ask someone to, so I'm working my book now and, you know, just to let you guys know exactly the type of person Luvvie is, you know, Luvvie knew that I was working my book and Luvvie's like, if you need help, you better ask me. Don't act like you can't. Like, this is what I do well. Like, this is my place. You want to tell me about numbers? I'm going to tell you about this book. Like, you know, so I'm just letting you know that it's true. If you have the right people in your circle, they'll act like that first. And then two, also making sure that they have a life that's important. So like Luvvie is very private about her personal life and she cherishes her family. Like, it's not just I have a family and it's important. It's not just marketing. She cherishes the people that are close to her. And so that is someone I can take advice from because that's a value for me. And I think too often when we think about, all these mentors, all these things, we look at maybe the singular thing that they've done that appeals to us instead of realizing that the ancillary things, all the things that are around it also are relevant. Because if somebody out there is a billionaire, but they have a crap marriage, or somebody out there is a billionaire, but their kids all hate them, then you want to be really careful about doing what they did to get their $1 billion. If having a good marriage and having great kids, like give me $500,000, you know, 500 million and a happy marriage and kids, and you can keep that other 500 million. I don't need that type of billion. Not all money is good money and not all money is God money. So when you're building your community, make sure you're surrounded by those type of people. And Luvvie, you're that for me for sure.
Good money and not all money is God money and not all money is your money.
Listen, be willing to say no. People don't say no. They think they got to say yes to every dollar. I love saying no. It's my favorite. Built up my money. I built up my money so I can say no all day. People come to me with sponsor deals and I'm like, no. You know, people come to me like, let's do a collaboration. It's a no. No's, collective no's. I don't work with just anybody. I don't claim just anybody. And it's because I want to be like Oprah. I want my name to change stock markets. And the way that happens is if you think about that in advance. You can't lend your name to anyone else. It's the most valuable thing about me. Not my business knowledge, not my bank account, but my integrity and my name. And so that's the thing that I cherish and protect more than anything else, especially with alignment with mentors, friends, you name it.
Yes. Like, who are you in conversation with? I'm very specific about that. I stopped doing panels, Nicole.
Listen, because I'll ask. I'm like, I can't do it. You know, I'm like, I can't do it. Who all gonna be there? Who all gonna be there has a whole new meaning. It's not just about the cookout anymore. It's about who all's gonna be there. And what people don't know sometimes, just, you know, because we always keep it real on this podcast, is half the people on your panel that are saying they're 7-figure earners, they've come to me knocking down my door asking how they can cross 6 figures. So you're here thinking that you are learning from the best of the best, and they may have great advice, but I've literally been invited to panels with people who I've paid their rent, Luvvie. They've come to me and asked me to pay their rent because they did not have funds. And then they took a year to get back to me. So it's one of those things where it's like, this space is super tiny. I have worked with more people than they know, but I'm, you know, head down focused on what I'm doing, but be proud of your no, because your no is going to be your biggest protector sometimes.
There were a few gems in there, and the piece about the name is especially important. I want, if you have $0 in the bank, but your name stands up, you have everything you need.
You will always make money.
Always go make money. You can always ask somebody for money and they'll give it to you without question.
That's right.
And that's where the trust comes in. And you know where I really what really kind of quantified that thing for me was Share the Mic Now.
Yes. Yes.
Can I tell you that experience changed my life in ways that I'm not even sure I've processed yet?
I'm so grateful to you, Luvvie, by the way, so people know, and I'm gonna say it out loud, say it on a platform. Luvvie invited me to that opportunity. That was something that, and you don't even know about the back end. Let me tell you the back end. You wanna hear how God used you? So Luvvie invited me to the Sharing the Mic Now campaign. And at the time I was like, I'm really busy, I'm scared, and all these people are fancy. You know what I mean? Like I'm a regular person. Luvvie's like, stop playing, come on, you know? And it was one of those times where listening to people, how they see you versus how you see yourself. You know, I fought the fear. I overcame the imposter syndrome, just like it says to do in Professional Troublemaker. And I said, yes. Well, being on that campaign, the person I was partner with, Hillary Burton, became a really good friend of mine. And she, you know, was on like One Tree Hill. She had all these shows and she's still doing amazing work. She's on The Walking Dead now. Well, she partnered me with a management team that partnered me with CAA as my agent. Within a month of Share the Mic Now, I had every single major agency in Hollywood sitting down for meetings with me to sign me as a client. So if I had not done Share the Mic Now, I don't know if I hadn't said yes in that one moment where I didn't feel like I was ready, I would not have had the team to help me do this very TV show. So Luvvie, God used you.
Do you see my mouth has dropped?
I know. I'm telling you, people, buy the book. If you can't have a Luvvie, you better get this book. You know what I mean? You better get this book and watch the show because it's an example of what the outcome can be if you just say yes.
Oh,
Listen, it all comes together.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I'm blown. I'm blown because, and let me tell you how you actually presented that opportunity. So first of all, Share the Mic Now blew my mind because it was a massive experiment for us. It was this wild, we were just like, let's try it. I think we'll probably get 10 people to agree. This idea that we got June 2nd, that we executed June 10th, ended up with 108 people who said yes to us without question. That's the part that was crazy. We were like, hey, we want to do this thing. We're going to pair you, white person, with you, black person. Y'all don't know each other, but you don't even know who you're going to end up getting. Just trust us. And y'all were like, okay. Y'all asked no questions. The only
total discretion, total confidentiality, total like leaning in and trust. It was unbelievable.
Everything about it was unbelievable. And like the fact that a lot of the people we paired together are doing things together. That we will find out after. Some people became besties. Some people are like, oh, we FaceTime every time. We've done business together. So to hear this Hillary story, you and Hillary Burton.
Yeah, it was, it's tremendous. And when I tell you, so I know all things about business, right? Like, so my company, I can run it all day. I am not Hollywood. Do you know what I mean? Like anyone who meets me knows I'm like this in person. Love it. We met in person. I'm like this in person. I'm a mess. I'm a joker. I like to have fun. That's all we do. So when it came time, there's still a way that this world is played though. You need an agent. You need a manager. You need all these things, and understand that God is inserting people in your life now that are going to give you the tools for the things you are meant to accomplish later. And Luvvie, when I met you, you know, my gosh, I'll never forget the first time I met you. This is a Luvvie appreciation podcast in case you guys did not listen. The very first time I ever met you, I only met the back of you. So it was at the Coterie Retreat in New Orleans. And you had just finished speaking and your book had come out at that time and was very, very popular. It still is, you know, the first book. And you had just finished doing a presentation and I was headed in. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, I got to meet Luvvie because she's going to be here, you know, and her book came out. I just want to tell her congratulations, whatever. So I get down there getting ready to do it. And all I see is you walking down the hall, right? Just walking down the hall and I see her back. And I'm like, I remember stopping in that moment and thinking to myself, am I going to go, like, should I just go stop her or should I go? And I had a fat moment where I was like, she's too far. Like, she's too far for me to run. I'm going to just let that run. I was like, I'm sure I'll see her again. You know, I'm sure I'll see her. I'm not going to run and sweat before my speech. But that was the first time I met you and, you know, from the back. And sure enough, we, you know, met face to face, you know, later on, you know, I think in Cancun, like just various times. And just having the boldness of being able to say like, look, I respect and admire you, Luvvie. I do, you know, but I'm also out here doing good work also. And, you know, if there's something like you've kept me in mind, if there's a way I can help you, let me know how I can help, you know, because I'm there for you. And then here we are, you know, ultimately, I didn't know that watching your back that day would end up leading to me having the right team to help me launch this show, which is getting so much traction. Every Thursday, people are going to be able to watch how I built this whole thing, but everybody's lent themselves to really making it happen. So thank you, Luvvie.
My God, like I'm blown. This is like this, oh my God, this podcast, I swear. Like finding out. And I think that's also why we have to honor our calling and the random things, random ideas that we have, because you don't know what domino effect it will have, right? Like you also doing the thing that you are compelled to do is being placed because you are being used as a vessel to help somebody else or help somebody point somebody else towards where they're supposed to be.
Yes.
And one of my favorite prayers is let my helpers find me.
Amen.
And the other one is like, let me be able to receive their help.
Yes. Oh, that part though. Please, Lord, check my ego. Give me some humility so that I can say yes, when it happens.
I can say yes.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. That just made my whole
oh, no, I love it. No, I mean, I love it. And it's, it's my joy because now, I get to use my gifts to lend it to other people and including you. My job is to fork money into people's bank accounts so that they can put it where it belongs. That's what I'm good at. I can't dance. I can't sing, I can cook, but I can't do too many other things. So my job is to put money into the banks of the people out there who are capable of being so much more. And also giving an example while I do it, that it's possible to do it imperfectly, to be a little messy, to be, a mom who's trying to encompass it all. And I think the show is the next frontier for that. People are going to see that every single Thursday on USA Network at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. You're going to see what it looks like to do it all imperfectly with laughter and humor and love.
And to do it being a dope Black woman,
yes,
has this family she loves. I think being that it's a service, a form of service. Like your life is a form of service. And I think
thanks.
That in itself, just the way you show up without even doing it more than you're doing, is a form of service because now somebody sees that it's possible that this dark skinned woman, okay, we don't look like the ambiguous girl that's on TV. We look Black. You see,
I've got these African cheekbones, West African cheekbones.
Cheekbones, okay? And now people get to watch this West African woman living her best, most purpose-driven life on television. That is, it brings me so much joy. And that's why I'm always like, listen, we exist as a form of service because we didn't have this. We didn't have this. We had to create these people. We had to be these people so somebody else knows this is now possible.
Absolutely.
Which for me, I'm like, yo, Nicole, the brilliance, you know what I mean? The business, the authenticity, and then you have the foolishness is a whole package. It's a whole package. And then the eyebrows and the skin.
I do what I can.
The moisture,
Thank you,
okay, the luxurious. Okay,
I love
moisture.
This. Listen, people literally we're tuning in for the gems. We're laughing, but they're also like, you guys are like, you're pretty. No, you're pretty. No, you're smart. No, you're smart. No, you're great. No, you're great. Listen, gas each other up, okay?
Why would we not? That's what I'm saying. We can do it all. And honestly, how I pick the people I'm in conversation with, I literally just be like, I just want other people to hear the conversation I have with my friends. I basically just record the conversations I have with my friends because this is how we would talk to each other when we're on the phone, when we're on another Zoom with each other.
That's the truth. It's a fly on the wall, to know that I think that what's great is the context, right? They recognize that, there is the uplifting stuff. There's the, advice like, hey, no, get it together, get that vacation time in, make sure they hear that part. But I really hope that whenever people listen to your podcast with their friends, that they're also picking up that there's a lot of love there and that it's authentic between strong, powerful, committed, educated women that we're out here saying, look, we're going to be successful and we're going to do it together, So I'm so grateful. I'm excited because I got this, show coming out, but your book is, going to stand the test of times. I operate in seasons, but you are really operating in your legacy. So we're really excited to see what happens.
Look, and we're going to watch She's the Boss.
Thank you.
And listen, this book, Madame, I'll be calling you to make sure you're on track with your book. Listen.
You see what happened? Be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you ask for.
The world needs a Nicole Walters book. That book is going to be...
It's coming.
Ridiculous.
I mean, listen, Luvvie, honestly, the proposal's almost done. so and this is, you're getting the exclusive, and again, you're a part of it because, I got my book agent, because of the Share the Mic Now trickle. And of course, doing the work ahead of time, because you can't write a book about nothing, right? But,
Right.
it's like, truly you played an integral role in pivoting me and expediting me towards my purpose. So I'm really excited. And hopefully, because you will remain on that list in Jesus' name.
Amen.
A year from now, when my book comes out, it can nudge in right next to you.
Come on.
We'll see.
Knock me down a peg, okay? Your book will take the place of mine.
We can switch week to week, 1 and 2, 1 and 2,
exactly.
1 and 2.
We got some switch.
They'll be like, hey, West African takeover.
It's true. It's happening. It's here. Like, I am so excited for it. I am so excited for it. So you already answered my self-care question because you've talked about the self-care sabbatical.
Yes.
Now, my final question is, what do you consider being a professional troublemaker?
I think being a professional troublemaker, at least in my life, has always been being willing to speak up with what may be the unpopular opinion, where you know that it's rooted in integrity, rooted in values, and will push the collective good forward. So that is it. That's what it is for me all day, every day.
Oh, look, drop the mic. Let the mic go, okay? Because Nicole has dropped it. She said Pepe Dem with words and gems. Hey, no, thank you, boo. Like, you are somebody who I have such deep respect for. Like, I am so blessed. I feel so grateful every day that God is like, let me bless you with this team of dope people who are your soft place to land, and you're one of them. And I am like, yo, I'm always cheering for you. I'm
in your corner forever. You know it. Whatever you need, I'm always here for you. So thank you for having me on here, because it's a big week for both of us, so look at God, right? And I'm just grateful to stand in this moment with you. So thank you.
I love you, boo. More to come. That conversation got me all the way together. Not all money is good money, and not all money is God money. Come on, Nicole. Be proud of your no, because your no is going to be your biggest protector. Or that gem about going for crockpot success instead of microwave minutes when it comes to how we show up in this world. We create transcripts for every single episode of this podcast, and you're going to want to download this one just to get all the quotes. The big jaw-dropping moment for me was hearing Nicole's experience with Share the Mic Now. Like I said, I haven't fully processed that entire experience yet. And hearing about Nicole's willingness to push through her fear and step up to that mic that Hillary shared with her, and what that whole thing led to, y'all, look at God. There are bigger things in store than we can ever imagine for ourselves, and we cannot choose to stay small because of fear. Look at what could have been missed. If you take nothing away from this episode, let it be this. Remember Nicole's story, and remember what the outcome can be when you have the courage to say yes. It can change everything. Be sure to follow Nicole on social media. She's at Nicole Walters everywhere. And be sure to check out She's the Boss on USA Network. Much love to Chicago Recording Company, who I've been partnering with from the start of this podcast, and they've been such a huge help putting my recordings from home together and making this sound on point. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Professional Troublemaker podcast. If you loved what you heard, make sure you subscribe to Professional Troublemaker in your podcast platform of choice and share it with people. Let them know this is dope. Also, order my namesake book, Professional Troublemaker, the Fear Fighter Manual, anywhere that you buy books. I especially love when you buy it from independent bookstores. So go to professionaltroublemakerbook.com for more, because this book is game-changing, and I'd say that even if I wasn't the one who wrote it. And please make sure you rate this show and leave a comment with a 5-star review, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you choose to listen. Feel free to also share some insights and whatever connected with you on social media. And be sure to tag us. We are at Professional Troublemaker on Instagram. And me, I'm at Luvvie everywhere. Until next time, have the courage to speak your truth and show up as yourself. Create good trouble.